welcome, man.
Yes, please.
I just found out it was 90 degrees here today.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all go. I just wanted to say hi, you know.
Oh, so you're not gonna...
He's not sitting at the table with us.
When another king and queen show up at the house, you know.
Yeah, I was
they
hoping...
must be greeted and honored properly. You know what I mean?
I was hoping to offset some of these opinions on you.
Yeah.
I thought I had somebody help me carry this load.
Hey, listen, I was like, Tip coming to the red table. I was like, I'm gonna say hi, but y'all got
Right on, brother. Good to see you,
Good luck,
man.
brother.
Tell him I said keep the car running. Running, man.
It's all. So let me ask you this, Tip. What the hell's going on?
Now, if I may say in my defense now, and
Go ahead.
I came here for the tough stuff. No easy ride for me, baby.
Well, then you know what? Let's just start with what's in the headlines right now. And there's this...
Hymengate.
The uproar all started after T.I. gave an interview on parenting, specifically about his 18-year-old daughter, Deja, whose mother is singer Miss Nico.
So have you had the sex talk with your daughters?
Not only have we had the conversation, we have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her height.
From Gloria Steinem to Planned Parenthood, the backlash was immediate and huge. Founder of the Me Too movement, Tarana Burke, had this to say.
It opens up this can of worms that I don't think that he really was prepared to open up. We're talking about this long tradition of checking the purity of women's bodies. And I think that a lot of men have this idea that being a good father is protecting your daughter's virginity. But it's so problematic in so many ways. It lends itself to this notion that men own their daughters.
Author and professor of sociology at Georgetown University, Michael Eric Dyson shares his opinion.
Being a father, a black father in particular, is not the easiest thing in the world. And a guy like T.I. believed that the predatory behavior of other men who were like you when you were younger, the guys you knew were doing dirt, must be protected against. But let's be honest, T.I. was attempting to exercise, control, leverage his authority as a patriarch on his daughter in terms of protecting her. But there's a difference between control and education.
If she got pregnant, people would say, how did you let your daughter get pregnant so early? And it would look like a failing on his part. But the answer to that is not policing your daughter's body. So I would love to understand better what he really thinks about this.
I just want to give you a moment to say what you feel like you'd like to say.
Firstly, I came to clear up any misconceptions that have been surrounding how we interact and parent and what is appropriate and inappropriate. Right. I think all of this surrounds a conversation that I was having in a very joking manner when asked, how do I deal with parenting in this day and age? And so I just began to, from a place of truth, I began to embellish and exaggerate. And I think that a lot of people kind of took it extremely literal, because if you put any of my reputation, like who I am as a father and who I've been, I honestly thought people knew me better than that.
Well, there's some of us that know you, but there's a lot of people who don't.
Yeah.
Do you understand the sensitivity of
No.
it all? Really?
I did not.
Do you understand it now?
Oh, I understand it now. Yes, I do. Absolutely. However, my intentions, I think, have been terribly misconstrued and misconceived.
Right.
Let me go set this record straight. I never said I was in any exam room. That is an assumption.
Right.
That is a falsity.
Got it.
I never said that it was being done present day.
Right.
As an 18-year-old.
She was 15 and 16 years old at the time.
And I never said that her mother wasn't present.
Right.
Her mom was present
They
every
went
time.
together.
Right.
He was just, most fathers don't go, but he was just present.
Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't make the doctor's appointment.
No.
It was already, appointment.
And all of these things, this narrative, this false narrative has just been sensationalized.
So at the time, her mother welcomed your presence, and your daughter did too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was never any objection.
Right.
She did have a problem with me talking about it, however.
Right.
And I understand that.
That's
And I'm incredibly apologetic to her for that.
Yeah.
To her.
Yeah.
To you, sweet baby Deja. Not to any of these other strangers and any of these weirdos who, just kind of toss lies around for fun.
Yeah.
She understands my intentions, and she knows who I am. She knows who I've always been.
Right.
And I think that allows a certain level of understanding. I mean, it's just the outside, the noise is distracting, is confusing. And
it's hurtful.
It is. It's hurtful and embarrassing.
She was horrified.
Well, I definitely understood why she would be, feel like, it was personal to her.
Right.
Deja's a quiet child. She doesn't talk a lot. She doesn't, you have to nudge things out of her.
Right. Because we as women understand how, especially for a young girl, how delicate and what it exposes about her very private,
especially to a father,
intimate life.
I didn't get it. I was oblivious to it. However, I am now sensitive to it for her.
Yeah.
For her. And then all of a sudden, when the number 2 hit the fan, and I hadn't addressed it, at her request.
Yeah.
I was taking the bullets, and that's not, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm fine in the fire.
Yeah. Right.
I'm fine in the fire.
Right.
There's no problem with that. My daughter said it. Just let it go. Don't say nothing. Just let it go. And I didn't. Until I had different directives. Okay, go ahead. Make it stop.
Right.
Clear it up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I would not be here today had I not had those different directives. I'd still be sitting in silence.
Right.
I want to learn from you. I have 3 powerful, independent, brilliant women, and I want to know, what is the purpose and place of a father in this society? Because a father like myself who wants to be as involved and as attentive as possible, we could draw the conclusion of we just donate sperm and come pay for things, and we don't really have no say-so in how things are handled.
No, that's not true. I don't think that's the case at all. And I don't think anybody has a problem with you being involved in that. I think it was more like, that's so very personal.
I don't think anybody has a problem with you protecting your daughter.
Nope.
That's not the issue.
It's the hymen that they
It's
want.
the hymen part of you. And having been a young girl myself, having raised several young women, and realizing that a woman's journey in regards to her sexuality has to be guided, right? Mostly, I think, by mothers. That's just me personally.
Okay.
But mother, in truly understanding what that journey is, takes her daughter's hand and walks her through.
Okay.
Right.
That's how I work that out with Will. There's just certain things about raising a man that I can't know. I would tell him, love your daughter.
Right.
Let me teach her.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because there's certain sensitivities
Okay.
That you just don't understand.
that you might not understand and have just
This is
because
true.
of your relationship in the world
I
is
respect that.
different than a woman's relationship.
I
right?
respect that completely.
Yeah. Like, I knew when you talked about it, because I live with a man that loves his daughter.
Right.
You know, in the conversations I've had to have with him in regards to what is protecting her, what is educating her, what is actually allowing her to self-actualize as her own individual self versus control.
Sure.
Right? So when I heard what happened, I said, I know what he's trying to say.
Right.
He's like, I'm present. I'm present in a way that anything that she needs.
That's right.
Any kind of trouble I feel like she might be in, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got her.
I got
Yeah.
her.
Right.
I totally understood that. But at the same time, especially when we're dealing with these kind of sensitive issues, knowing the extent of that protection. The idea that people thought you were trying to control your daughter's virginity versus, no, because that's very different.
I
It
have a
is.
question.
Okay, ask it.
Okay. First of all, the word control is very...
But you know that's what it sounds like.
I know,
Tim.
but in order to guide or direct, you must have a certain level of control of anything.
Okay, so so how do you want us to understand your level of control in which you were speaking of?
Well, I think that in the age or the time where
Right.
our women, black women, are the most unprotected,
Yes, and I
unattended,
get that.
disregarded
Yes.
women on the planet.
Yes.
I'm being criticized because I'm willing to go above and beyond to protect mine.
Right.
And I'm talking about all of the little slimy, grimy, chubby-fingered little boys who want to just come and defile and destroy the sanctity that I have. Hey, man, listen, I'm just saying, right? I don't understand anything that is the most important thing to me in my life. I am going to deal with that with very extreme care. And I don't understand how that is looked at as being so wrong. In order to control, for there to be malice, there must be ill intent. If I'm going to the doctor with you just for the sake of controlling you, then okay. But if I'm going for the purpose of being a protective parent, and there's no such thing as overprotective. There's protected and unprotected.
But what's important to you, though? Because I don't think it's so much about virginity as
Or
much.
was it?
Or was it?
Well, to me, I am here to protect all of the children from themselves until they make it to a point where they have awareness, a sense of self, and discernment to be able to make certain decisions on their own that will impact their lives indefinitely.
So you felt as though when she's 15, 16 years old that she might not have the understanding of what it means to engage in that way?
Well, absolutely.
Or?
Since she turned 18, like, I don't have control of anything.
Right.
It's on you. You go. You know what I mean? Run, fly, be yourself. Now, getting her there, especially in a day where there's so much input, so many other perspectives thrown at children, like, you know, from YouTube to Instagram, like the concept of love, beauty, life, sex, all of those things, those lines are being blurred every second.
Right.
So there has to be someone there to clarify what is acceptable, what is unacceptable. I trust and believe that I put moral standards, principles, and greatness in all of my children.
Right.
But until they learn how to unlock it and use those powers for themselves, it has to be harnessed.
When I think about the girls that I've raised, I was never really trying to protect their virginity versus making sure that they had a level of understanding and maturity before going into certain things. But it was never about the virginity.
It's not protecting. I'm not there to protect necessarily virginity. I just know that is a big move.
Right, okay.
Once you make that move.
Right. Okay, there we go.
There are things that happen that follow.
Right.
You have to be equipped. And I don't know if you're equipped, or I don't know. Like, I have to, awareness is my first line of defense.
Right, so that's different.
Okay, I don't know how, but okay.
That's education. You only have but so much control.
Right. So I have been vocal about what to expect or not to expect foolishly of young men. You know, as she begins to engage and socialize. Just, hey, man, listen, keep your expectations low. You can't get your feelings wrapped up in this now. This is a physical urge. This is animalistic urges taking over right here. This is not an emotional, romantic encounter for this gentleman.
So,
I don't think it is.
Do you think that's the part you were trying to protect her from?
Yes, because if you aren't
you
able,
feel like young boys that age would not be able to care for
defile
your
and destroy
daughter, care for your daughter emotionally in the way in which you think she deserves.
Absolutely.
And that's what it was about.
I mean, definitely, all of the above. Then she definitely should be afraid for what could potentially come from, you know, doing the do.
Right.
You know what I mean? The dangers of pregnancy, the dangers of diseases, the dangers of, you know, just having your heart broken, thrown away and discarded, not to be forgotten.
Let's say that you went to the doctor's appointment. Now, first of all, we all know that hymens can be broken by riding a horse. It can be like, and you could be very sexually active and your hymen be intact. That is.
These are all things that
You are learning as a man now, being in the hot seat.
I'm looking to you guys to educate me.
Yes. Well, let me ask you another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say that you found out that she, at 15 or 16 years old, wasn't a virgin. What would you have done then?
Your childhood ends when you lose your virginity. That's it. You've ended your childhood, and it's time to begin adulthood. And I can't let you run around trying to enjoy the luxuries of adulthood without any of the responsibilities of adulthood.
But when you say your childhood ends, what do you mean? Like,
You must heighten the level of responsibility. That could be birth control, it could be financial, or just having a plan. You can't just run around not knowing what you want to do no more.
Right.
You can't just run around like, oh, I'll figure it out later. No, now you've made a decision that you want to be an adult. Now you need to have a plan together. Because if you figured this out, you need to have all this figured out too.
Right, but I need to just say this, though. I still feel like it would have been different if it was your son versus your daughter.
Right. And I always think it's so interesting in how men treasure their daughter's virginity, but not their sons.
I kind of made the comparison of a son versus a daughter.
Right.
If my son goes out and gets a girl pregnant, how is the household changed for those 9 months? The household does not necessarily change those 9 months. Whereas if my daughter come home, my household is changed immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
So the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
We were raised to provide and protect.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't recall having much of a childhood besides figuring out ways to get my mama out the ghetto.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I think that if there is any more to be taught, it has to come in the form of philosophy, not punishment.
Absolutely. You just brought up something that I think is very interesting. The conditioning that comes with being a father. We all have been conditioned in a way to
Unlearn
look
and
at...
relearn.
Exactly. And I think that in this very sensitive time when we have all this
Social media
and social justice issues around the female body.
This is the thing about the female body. I think the conversation is different when it comes to mom than when it comes to dad, you see?
Oh, it's very different.
I know it and I don't understand it. I mean, because the same thing we're talking about, just like you said, the virginity of my daughter versus the virginity of my son. Okay? So it's the same conversation around mom versus dad because mom can tell daughter not to cut her hair, not to perm her hair, not to color her hair, not to get piercings or whatever. But she can give her body away to anybody she wants to without Pop saying anything.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is what you have to understand, though. It's a patriarchal structure that is not all that...
I heard that word before.
Yes, which is...
I heard that term before. I didn't know that term was a thing, patriarch...
Well, it's like it is structured by the views and the outlook of men.
Okay.
And it tends to be, at times, often, oppressive to the feminine journey.
Okay.
Right.
Have females actually tried to explain
Absolutely.
to men?
That's why you have feminists.
Okay.
That's why you have womanists.
Because I think that feminists sometimes, it can be misconstrued by people who don't understand it as women wanting men to stop silencing them so they could silence men.
Well, it's not that. There's a lot that happens in the feminine journey.
Okay.
Right? Is often told or seen and led through the eyes of men who know nothing about women and what we're going through.
Well, I think they should stay out of that.
Boom. That's the point. Because I felt like even when I heard what happened, I said, oh, he doesn't understand the level.
I don't.
He found out how serious it was and how personal it was after he said it, because you know, he didn't think about that.
Yeah, and I understood that just because I'm in this house with Will. He be saying the craziest stuff. He don't understand the level. And thank God he has me and he's got Willow. So we educate that joker before he leaves this house. You know what I mean? He's one of those that likes to tell stories and
he's
sometimes goes too far. Willow has gone at her dad several times for very insensitive comments, whether it's around menstruation or around, like, oh, you must be PMS. And she's like,
see
that right there? We're not going to do that. Right.
Listen, I don't see no problem with that. I don't see no problem. I mean, but
it's just respecting.
I understand that I don't understand. See where Will at? See, this is the part right here where Will, man. See,
no, No, every day.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. What I appreciate about this moment and what I appreciate about you is understanding that this is a teachable moment.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And also, I think that it's great for me to have this opportunity. And I think that all things happen in life for a reason.
Absolutely.
You know, every lesson has a purpose and it must be dealt with differently. But out of care and out of concern, not out of control.
And out of education.
I don't think that our community, our culture, our generation can be pushed forward by having comfortable, convenient discussions.
That's real.
We have to have tough discussions in order to move forward.
Right.
And I knew when I heard it, I said, there's a big misunderstanding.
It's a
here.
misunderstanding.
And I knew that first and
appreciate you
foremost.
for that.
Oh, I knew that.
And that's why I
Tim.
wouldn't come anywhere to speak about this, because I know most people just use it as a platform for themselves.
And I understood why people misunderstood you.
So sorry Willow couldn't make it.
Well, you know what, Tip?
Not
I
really.
think you might be happy in the long run.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Hold it. We're not done yet.
I never, ever, ever had sex with anyone while we've been married.
I have never, ever, ever lied about this.